Good morning, everybody. Okay, this is Grant. It is the market's going to open up here in a couple minutes overnight. Let's see, the settlement from yesterday on the E-minis was at 24.59.75. We are down was that 8 points at the moment. So very bearish open here this morning. Overnight we have crude has come up. I think some of that might have been on news to or regarding Saudi Arabia. Gold is up overnight. The bonds are up. There's a bit of flight to safety going on here this morning. As we think about the profile itself, the overall market profile, the structure, it dropped off last night below the range that was established yesterday, so higher probability that it could test lower here this morning. We're going to be trading here today using the market effectiveness chart on the left with the market engine, with the trading chart on the right with the market engine indicator. Those are the two main charts that we'll be using. We always keep in mind, though, the overall structure of the market itself. These two charts are not intended to represent that, but rather current interest that's taking place in the futures market. Okay, we've got about a minute here before the market opens. Also of note, just to orient your eyes, I have a couple moving averages on here. Got the 200 moving average, a couple other moving averages. Down here across the bottom is the market engine indicator. Over here on the left is the market effectiveness chart, which shows the overall effect of moving price. So this was yesterday. Yesterday ended up selling off, but then pushing it back up hard at the end of the day. Okay, 5 seconds here before the market opens. Okay, we've got our open here at 24.52. Initial push down at the open. Right, I'm filled. I had entered short. Okay, it's pushing down below a channel on my channel chart. You don't see that, but it is broken underneath a channel. Here the market engine indicator takes the initial read here, well below, well bearish. Crude dropping off. Okay, we've got still negative On crude dropping, getting even shorter. Bonds creeping up. Okay, and I've gone short again. And I've taken another fill. I'm being short. Okay, we might get another push down here. Right, the effectiveness chart clearly showing being effective, pushing to the downside. That's the way to read that. Okay, now as crude continues to drop, we've got the NASDAQ effectiveness chart, which I'm not showing over here. It also is bearish, not super bearish. Meanwhile, the Russell market effectiveness chart is actually starting to rise. Have a little bit more gas in it to continue down. Both the NASDAQ as well as the NYSE market effectiveness charts are pushing lower. Meanwhile, the market engine indicator is slowly rising, getting some pressure, pushing up. We have we got the Russell effectiveness charts pushing up. Meanwhile, we've got price trying to roll up a little bit, but both the NYSE and the NASDAQ effectiveness charts are still bearish. A little bit of a pull up here. Pullback taking place here. NASDAQ still, effectiveness charts still down, starting to show some upward movement though on the NYSE. Market effectiveness charts are still staying bearish. I sold into that, which means I'm gonna, so I'm getting filled here. So as it pushed up, as it continued to rise and push up, what I did was I saw that both the NASDAQ and the NYSE effectiveness charts were continuing to stay bearish, and so I knew that was a weak push up. So scalped a few ticks off of that one, and I'm filled. So 4 trades so far. Okay, so the way to use that is you see the misalignment, then the effectiveness charts are pushing in a certain direction, price going another. Those are just quick scalping trades. My favorite trades, though, are off the market engine indicator when we get to the extremes. Take some time for those setups to develop. So as we wait for those setups to occur, and they occur typically at the extremes here, right? So at the extremes of the orange lines there. Continue to have the NASDAQ effectiveness chart pushing down. However, we've got a gear shift taking place now on the NYSE. And it's showing some positiveness, so price is coming up here on 1 minute. Let's spread this out, get a little more room. Let's back up to the open. Back up at the open. Okay, so it's come into the open and touched the open. The NASDAQ effectiveness chart still down a little, although it's starting to creep up just a little. NYSE is turned around, still showing some negative on the market effectiveness chart. Okay, I sold into that as it was rising up. So continue to have bearish market effectiveness on both the NASDAQ and the NYSE when both are aligned. That's goodness. In the meantime, the Russell, though, is continuing to rise, the Russell's market effectiveness chart. So it is going contrary to what the other two engines are doing. Okay, we got a gear shift taking place here. Gear shift forming also on the NASDAQ as well. We have some pressure pushing up. Continues to push up hard and fast here. So we got a change in tone. So we have now the Russell and the NYSE market effectiveness charts pushing up hard, fast. NASDAQ continues to stay lower on its effectiveness chart. You're down at the, looking at the profile, we're definitely below a range on the profile from yesterday. Pulled up. So the market effectiveness chart on the NYSE is starting to pull back down again. We've got the Russell is still pushing up, whereas the NASDAQ is shallowing out here, showing a little bit of a pull up. Meanwhile, the NYSE is starting to drop. Still in the middle of a gear shift, which means take note. Take note because there's two gear shifts, means be aware of a change in direction. Now the way to trade that is as the red line comes back up to the top, then as it gets to the top, then the direction that the price is going at that moment, that's where the trade direction or trade opportunity is. Meanwhile, the market engine indicator really pushing up, very short-term bullish activities. The overall tone, though, is still down, both on the NYSE as well as on the NASDAQ. Both have turned bearish. Meanwhile, the Russell's effectiveness chart continues to push up. We've got some short-term pressure starting to push back down. Okay. The range so far on the day is the high is at 24.53, the bottom is 24.49.5. It's the current range. Let's see here. It's going to push back up here to the top of the range, expand the range perhaps. All right, we've got some hesitation on the Russell's effectiveness chart. NASDAQ is looks like it's trying to side. It's not super strong either way. NYSE, meantime, starting to pull back down. See if we get maybe another push back down. Crossroads here with this. So we've got some decent push down here on the NYSE's effectiveness chart. Same with the Russell, or the NASDAQ starting to push up. And now we're getting misalignment between NASDAQ and the NYSE. Typically chop will ensue for a period of time until one side wins out. The thing about these effectiveness charts too is that it can give you a sense of which direction the winning institutions are, right? Because it comes down to the institutions with the big orders that are pushing and moving the markets in certain directions, and the orders and the work that gets pushed through, the transactions that get pushed through, ultimately then translates into movement in price. Now, how effective it is at moving that price, that's another issue. And that's what this chart shows. It says, all right, here's a combination of internal things taking place. Now, in which direction is it being effective at moving things? And that tells you, it gives you the indication, right? Tips the hand of the direction that's winning. And of course, the goal there is to line up with the winning side there. We have a little bit of misalignment because we have those pushing on stocks and the indexes on NASDAQ starting to rise, as well as those on the NYSE that continue to drop. Meanwhile, price continues to push up a little. So we have disconnect here between what's happening under the hood there and what's really taking place with price. Nice big push up taking place right here. So big quick push up there. All three of the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the NYSE pushing up there. Things are still to the bearish side, still down a bit, although starting to show some recovery here. Okay, push up hard and quick there. Overall sentiment on the NYSE still down, although that was a big push. Created a gear shift, which means be prepared for a push potentially in another direction. Let's see if that translates here. Certainly been rising over the last 5 minutes or so. Russell starting to pull back a little bit, go down. Same with the NASDAQ. All right, some hesitation here. That big push up. Russell pulling down, going a bit bearish there. Same with NYSE, not as strong. NASDAQ even rolling over, coming back down. And just orient your eyes. This pink line here, that was the open. Up here, it was the open from the previous day. And up here across the top, this is the settlement from the previous day. Okay, let's take a look at, we've got both the bonds have pulled off, gold's pulled off, meaning they've come down. Crude's come down, flattened out. The market effectiveness chart on the NYSE engine still continuing to push downward. Russell's flattened out after big push up The NASDAQ has come down, but now is flattened out a bit. Still slightly to the bearish side on the NASDAQ, which is saying it's been a little more effective at pushing price down than up. So the overall composite, if you combine the three of those, is that it's still to the downside. Well, we've had a push up here. Let's see if that continues. Right, it is just hovering here, not much movement. Activity level certainly dropped off. Taking a pause. All right, let's look at what's happening here around the market. So gold was the big push up overnight. It has receded probably 30%. Same with bonds, and actually same with crude. Those are still sitting still. All right, so we got the Russell's effectiveness chart pushing up again. We've got NASDAQ slowly rising, as well as looks like the NYSE doing the same. They want to rise a little bit more. Okay. We got the 200 here. I'm on a 1 minute chart here. Got the 200 moving average here. It's starting to look that direction. Well, and the market turns quickly down in terms of price. Yeah, so now I'm flat. Okay. So I've had 7 trades, all of them successful. At this point, had to wait a little bit on the 7th one. Yeah, so what happened right there, right at the moment, the market will do this to you, right at the moment you think it's going to go up, it turns around, and the effectiveness chart on NYSE, or excuse me, on NASDAQ, pushed up. Let me bring it over here so you can see it. Here's what happened. This is the NASDAQ market effectiveness chart. So it's saying the NASDAQ's being effective at pushing price down, down, down. Then it's hovering, comes up, and then right at that moment just shot up and then just dropped. And that gave enough push and momentum to make me flat. Brought down. So okay, so up this morning. So the strategy is pretty simple when you trade with this. Keep an eye on 2 or 3 of the engines. I call them engines because it's not just I'm watching the price on those indexes, but rather I'm watching the net effect of all of the activity that's taking place underneath the hood on those, combined together into a chart that represents the effect of that effort, meaning is it being effective at pushing against price, moving in one direction or the other. That then combined with just common sense market structure, sort of understanding where you are in the profile, as well as some key things around some channels and the structure there. You just need to know those 2 or 3 things. Keep an eye on that, and that will give you the confidence. Now, there will be these points where it goes against you. So I had one go against me, but I waited it out the right time, leveraged in, and still closed for profit. So you got to be careful with that. We've got, looks like it still wants to, we've got the NASDAQ effectiveness chart pushing up. So it's same with the Russell. And the NYSE as well. Now you see the red line here. When the red line comes up like that, and you see this is pushing up, it's saying that price is pushing up and the effectiveness chart's going up. Those two are in line. So we got the same over on the NASDAQ. So we could be seeing another push to the upside here. Might go test the bottom of the range from yesterday. So the bottom of the range from yesterday, so let me just pull that down here. So the bottom of the range from yesterday, this is on the E-minis. So yesterday the bottom of the range was at 55.25. That was the bottom of the range yesterday. So this is a 15-minute chart. Bottom of the range. Here we are. It's tested the top, the bottom today. But you'll notice we're down here developing in this part where there's some extra space, right? Some work needs to be done to flesh out this part of the market. So it could come up here and test this top part right there. So understand a little bit about structure, market structure, and what you're doing. And then the other chart that I keep an eye on is I like to take time out of the picture. Just take time totally out of the picture. So this could look a little messy. This is a range chart. It's a 4-tick range chart on the E-mini. And with it, so here's yesterday. Look at that. It just bounced around in that range yesterday. And right at the end of the day, pushed up. And then overnight, we get the big sell-off. Here's market open about right here. We traded that down, came up. We traded this, recovered. So there's a top of a channel here. So we got a couple things. We have a channel right here at about 24.55, which interestingly is the bottom of that range from yesterday. So a little bit of resistance area. Don't like to use that word much, but it is a resistance area right up there. So to be aware, this is some open space right here. It could push up into here, and then might go choppy again on us. All right, so that's it. I keep an eye on those charts, on the overall profile structure, just where we are there. Keep an eye on these effectiveness charts on each of the engines, each engine being effective. And boy, when they're lined up, things really then tend to move a certain direction. So you want to know where they are and how they're lining up. And then you keep an eye on just some of the key correlated markets. Got to know those, right? So keep an eye on things like gold and crude and bonds and things like that. So you set yourself up with that kind of environment, then you can see where the probabilities are. And then the last but very critical piece is this green line right here. This is the market engine indicator, and this is coming up. This is showing the really near-term, short-term pressure that's taking place. So you can see there's been obviously a lot of pressure to push up price. So even though it came in short, it pushed, eventually got price up, still to the downside, to the bearish side. Yeah, you get your eyes set to be able to watch those probably three different pieces. Okay, so structure, which is things like market profile and the channels with the range chart, that tells me structure. And then you've got which way the market's being successful or effective at moving price. So you got that. That's the second key thing to watch. And then watch correlated markets. Just know, oh, bonds is shooting up. Doesn't mean that things will go down, but it increases the probability. So correlated markets, structure, and then the effectiveness of each of those market engines. Yeah, then you trade with the market engine indicator on something like this. Now that's for intraday trading. For intraday trading for swing trading. Similar, but you change the time frames and the size of the ranges and those kinds of things. The principles still apply, obviously, to larger time frames. Okay, so 7 trades this morning. Have closed all of them with profit, and we've got the Russell engine pulling off. Obviously the NYSE, you can see that one is pulling off. The NASDAQ is somewhat bullish at the moment. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for joining. Trade safe, and I look forward to next time.